there, my name is Robin, and welcome to English Grammar Now. Today, we're going to talk about at, in, and on. These are about places. This is Prepositions Part 3. I know what you're thinking. Prepositions again? And didn't we already study in, on, and at? The answer is we did, but we only talked about how they describe time. These prepositions are so useful for both talking about time and talking about places. So today we're focusing on how these prepositions tell us where something is. Here's some example sentences to get started. I'll call you when I'm on the bus. Did you leave the keys in the drawer? He's not at work today. He's sick. First, let's look at. We use at in a few specific ways. Number one, we use at for places that are seen as a single point. This might be a little tricky to understand, but if you could point at a specific place, probably we would use at to talk about it. For example, please take a seat at the table. Or, I'll meet you at the gate. There's a lot of different examples for this, but if you think of this place as a place you could point to or put a pin in a map for, then you'll probably use at. The second way we use it is to talk about workplaces, companies, or places of education. For example, she works at Microsoft. Timothy was at the local university last year. The third way we use at is to talk about shops or public places where we get some kind of treatment. For example, Mom will be at the dentist this afternoon. I saw you at the grocery store yesterday. So these are places that we commonly go to shop or get some form of treatment. The fourth way we use it is to talk about activities that involve a group of people together. For example, why weren't you at Lisa's party? Will you be at the game? At the party and at the game, there will be a group of people there, so we use at. The fifth thing we use it for is if we're giving someone's specific address. For example, he lives at 145 Birch Street. There are also a few common phrases that use at. We say at the top, at the bottom, at the end. Here's what those could look like in a sentence. Write your name at the top of the page. The curtain has a hole at the bottom because of the cat. We live at the end of the street. These are all pointing to a very specific part of something, either the top of a page, the bottom of a curtain, or at the end of a road. Now you try. All of these sentences already have the preposition at. All you have to do is figure out what place is missing from each sentence. Go ahead, give it a try. Here's the answers for those blanks. Number 1, you can learn a lot at school. Number 2, when you get home, I'll be waiting at the door. Number 3, the car slowed and stopped at the red light. Number 4, I'd prefer to stay at home on rainy days. Number 5, there was a great sale at the mall today. Number 6, I'm usually at the pool on Friday for my swimming lesson. Now let's move on to our second preposition, on. We use on to talk about anything that is on some kind of surface. This might be the floor, the ground, the wall, the roof, a balcony, a book cover, anything that is a flat area, we use on. Here's some examples. Your wallet is on the table. We sat on the grass to eat. The second way we use on is if we're talking about a place that is beside a river or a road, or a sea or lake. Here's some examples of that. They have a lovely home on the coast. The gas station is on Highway 17. This is not a specific place, but rather showing that in a long area, somewhere is the place we're talking about. So along a road, a river, or near a body of water. We also use on to talk about the floors in a building. So an example, her apartment is on the 11th floor. We use on to talk about public transport if you are on it right now. For example, I can't talk, I'm on the bus. And number 5, we use on to talk about things that are attached or joined together. For example, there aren't many leaves on that tree. Or, she wore this green ring on her finger. So those things are attached or at least joined together for now. There are also a few common phrases with on. We use it to give directions like on the right, on the left, where we're pointing to the direction that something is. We can say on the way, which is meaning that the place we're talking about is between here, where we are now, and the destination where we are going. On the way means the place we're talking about is between these 2 points. We also say on television or on the radio. This is talking about if something is being shown on television or talked about on the radio, we'll say on television, on the radio. All right, here's our last preposition, in. We use in to talk about any place that is enclosed. If there is an outside and an inside, then it's an enclosed area. So we could say, for example, I left my glasses in the car. The car has windows, doors, walls. There is an inside and an outside. So we would use in to make sure that we're clear about the fact that it is inside the car. Number 2, we use in for workplaces if we're discussing their physical location. For example, she works in an office downtown. Number 3, we use in if we're talking about a class. We would say, Millie is in class right now. Number 4, we use in for all towns and cities. For example, we used to live in Ratanakiri. All right, here's an activity for you to practice. This one is a little more difficult because you have to pick which preposition fits in each blank. Some of the sentences have more than one blank. So try to remember the rules that we've talked about. Go ahead, give it a try. Here's the answers to each of these blanks. Number 1, there's a lot of fish in this river. We've used in here because you can be inside the river or outside the river. Fish are definitely inside. Number 2, my name is at the top of the list. Did you remember that at often goes with the top, the bottom? Number 3, it's difficult to park on this street. It's so busy. Number 4, there's a clock on the wall in the living room. In this case, we have a clock that is on a surface, a flat wall. And we have the wall that is in the living room. The living room has an inside and an outside, and the clock on the wall is inside the living room. Number 5, we live at 45 Burrard Lane. The number is on the gate. Number 6, He's on the train now. He'll call when he's at the station. So in this case, he's on the train because he's using public transit. But when he arrives, he'll be at a specific point, which is the station. So we say, at the station. That's pretty tricky, but I hope you figured it out. Great job. Here's a conversation that uses a lot of prepositions in different ways. Some of them are even talking about time, which is from our previous lesson. See if you can pick them out as I read. Can you help me find my keys? I have to leave in 5 minutes. Did you look in your bag? Or maybe in your pockets? I checked in there. I wonder if I left them on the dresser. No, they're not on there. What about in the car? Or you could have left them at the party somewhere. No, I'm sure I had them when I got home at 9 last night. I was holding them in my hand at the door. I made a sandwich in the kitchen. Oh, I have an idea. Well, isn't that sneaky? They were in the fridge on a plate. I put a whole lot of prepositions in this conversation, looking at different kinds of places. Some of them are very specific, like at the door, at the party. Some of them are on flat surfaces, like on the dresser. Some of them are inside things, like in your pocket or in the fridge. There are even a few examples of prepositions of time. In 5 minutes, at 9 last night. So there's some examples of prepositions being used in sentences. I hope you've enjoyed studying them with me. I'll see you again next time. Goodbye!